interviews are open, but with the teachers or counselors, it's systematic because we're addressing just one learning objective with those questions.
So open is when you have a protocol, with questions.
No, it's
you
just
always
about
have-
Open is when your categories aren't set in stone.
aren't set in
already.
stone. Your categories and themes are not set in stone.
You're
And so-
creating them as you
as you go
You're
along.
trying to find out what they're saying without making a judgment of it. And
Yes.
systematic is like you already know you're only looking for student support because of the objective that you're
Yeah.
trying to meet.
So systematic, you have the protocol.
So
No, you have
both of them.
protocols. There's always going to be protocols.
Then why did Dr.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay.
So then,
Because
the
you all
protocols
were-
are the questions.
Were you analyzing
Okay.
parents? Yeah, that's why parents is usually open for Gear Up.
Open
Because there's not,
it's like what we're doing. what
It's
we
not
do.
standardized
There's
versus
a lot
the
of-
other ones.
A lot of
It's
the other like
systematic,
was
say that
Dr.
they're in
Systematic, and she just like wiped everything. And she's like, we're starting from scratch.
We
Yeah.
can
Start
research that
all
backs
over.
up
That's why I like.
that we are
She
sending
says like, cause
students
they had a
to
code book and
help
everything,
out like
and she's just
that.
kind of like.
Then that's
Oh, you guys
not-
just use the categories,
you're
right?
picking up
Yeah.
on
That's why.
only
Yeah.
All right,
that
next slide.
question. You're not looking
One
at
question.
anything.
Yes.
You all were doing them by
open
transcript.
coding?
This is the problem.
Eileen, could you confirm, is that what we did for intercom?
Yeah, open.
I would say open for. I think you would do something like open coding for an cal.
I don't think any other project has it done like that.
Yeah, I want to say it's
Systematic.
only
Oh.
like
It's usually my main point I'm trying to derive by. It's most likely going to be open coding, but you want to confirm that with Dr.
Dr.
P before you move forward. You always want to confirm and not just assume because you could be doing double the work.
Yeah.
Systematic is just more restricted.
More restricted.
You don't have the freedom to say, if you hear something cool and you're like, that's a different category. You can't add that category because you already have your categories.
And usually when you develop,
Open is literally open to
Open,
create.
yeah.
Open to you.
and usually when you develop your protocol and get that approved by Dr. P is when you'll have the discussion about if it's open or systematic.
Yes. All right, reliability, member checking. I don't think we had a chance to really do this here. Member checking. Europe does it. Okay, so we're able to
For data.
we're able to call back some of the parents or our stakeholders and be like, oh, did you mean this? Okay, so member checking, all that means really is you're checking back in with the person who was interviewed. If you're unclear about the way that they said something, like, oh, you know, I noticed, you might want to contact them. You might want to ask them the question like, well, when you said that you received services, did you mean that you received these kind of services, or what did you mean when you said it by that way? So member checking, that's just a way to make sure the data is as clear as possible.
And if you can, call the actual person because it's anonymous or you don't have their contact information, you would member check with one of a C-roller that's not working on the project. So, like if Nancy
Yeah.
wasn't working on Gear Up, I would bring Nancy over and be like, I'm coding for student success. This is how I define student success. And these are the quotes I've highlighted. Can you confirm that that matches my definition?
Yes, that's true because the person who might have been there was actually physically there and they have a accurate understanding. They can remember what it was like interviewing them. And then we also have inter-rater reliability, which is when you have a group of people. We have a group of people in a room, like we have right now, and you're agreeing on themes and categories. This is going to be really big for next week, the inter-rater reliability, because after we listen to our audio recordings, we're going to go around the room, like, you know what, I heard this, and people are like, someone else might be, yeah, but I also heard this coming from the data as well. So it's more of like a debate of what these codes and themes, or what your coding system is going to look like, so your themes and your categories. So it's a debate for that. Discussion focused on created, so there's a discussion created on consolidated list of codes, also known as your code book. So yeah, share how often you found the categories and why the category the category make the list. So again, that goes with the debate. Questions? So to be clear, we're debating about some of these, a lot of these codes, so that way we could come up with a solid foundation on how we're going to code the interviews. Once you agree upon the codes, that's when you can really pull things together that make into one cohesive analysis, one master analysis. If you are the project lead, I know the way that C-Roll does this. I'm going to go by the way that C-Roll does it, but Actually, that's on the next slide.
Can you check if it's still recording?
It is. I just re-recorded it. Yeah. All right. So tips: listen to all of your recordings 3 times, and then this. So any recordings, if a project gives you the recordings, say, okay, I want you to listen to all of these. Listen to all of them first. Don't do anything. Just listen. And after you've listened, then you pick apart each one, because I know this is what I've been saying here for the last half year or so, is that you have separate CRUDE analyses for each interview. So after you've listened to all of the ones that you need to, then that's when you're gonna really do the analysis portion where you put together your themes and your categories. You come up with your themes and your categories the second time around, and then the third time is when you're typing in to your analyses, your themes, and your categories. So step 1, don't do anything. Step 2, start creating your themes and categories based upon what you've listened to. And step 3 is when you're going into each individual analyses, and you're doing the CRUDE analyses for each one, coding, theme, and category. Check your own worldview, like I said before. Use your team for open coding. You really want to rely on your team. If you have a question about the way that someone said something, you always want to member check with them, make sure that what they said is something that you both can agree on. Always check to see if you have too many themes and categories. That's very important, because if you have too many, then it's not going to come out, your report's not going to come out very fluid. That did happen to me. And then for Mariana, be familiar with your literature and your project. You always want to go in knowing something about your project within terms of the background of its literature. So if there's a literature review available, I would highly recommend reading it. It's usually no more than 3 pages long. Do that, and also ask for some background from your project lead as well. You always want to do that, because then you can kind of put into context what you're actually looking at. Excellent.
I have a question.
Yes?
Why is it not helpful to have many themes? I would think the opposite.
Because when you're writing the report, it's a lot of them you might be able to consolidate into one. Mm-hmm. So if you have a lot of themes, it could be a little bit cumbersome when you're writing the report to say more
Not only
concisely.
that, you want to highlight the importance of these
Importance,
themes.
yeah.
So if you have many themes, it's like saying everything's important.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And which might be true, but you really want to consolidate your themes into terms that they're like, okay, we understand what this means, and we can further the research from there.
But if you really believe, like, you did an analysis and there's 10 themes and, like, you've tried everything, just ask somebody else to, like, look over it and maybe they can help you. But it might be that there is 10, but yeah,
Okay,
depending.
but so a lot is not too good, but making less and making the most of it.
Yeah. It's not about quantity, it's about the quality. You gotta make sure that your category and your themes are very well defined and that they can really capture the breadth of what you're looking at.
Yeah, because your definition can incorporate, depending on how you define that theme, can incorporate maybe like 3 or 4 of your original themes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I need to take a picture of this.
And also, like, your themes have to be somewhat tied
Do you like
to your objectives.
the questions?
To the
I'm
project
gonna send it to you
objectives.
on, be like, how it's supposed to be.
All right, we'll wait. We're in no rush. We're at the point now in the presentation we're just answering. We're just doing the quiz.
And once this is all over, there's a treat.
Is it?
Lunch?
Pizza?
You buying lunch? Cool.
I'm
No.
not buying lunch,
I'm not buying these.
but there is definitely an announcement.
All right, big picture. There you go. What are our categories? They are the big picture. You all did really good. Pat yourselves on the back. Next question.
I just looked. It's like what everybody else put in.
Open coding is
Open coding. What is open coding?
The next question.
no, I think you gotta wait until.
No, Rudy, you cannot.
He's looking at.
You're such a cheater, really.
All right, open coding. What is it? It is free for all coding. Free for all coding.
type of isn't it a type of analysis?
It's like a big kind of.
Technically, but this is like if you're taking a multiple choice test, what is the best answer?
I think there's a fault in your answers. I don't know.
This is when you go to Alex's office hours and argue for
This is like-
that.
When you go, you argue for your grades.
It's like the GRE, 2 questions
Right,
are
next
right.
slide.
It's like, no, I didn't get it wrong. You asked it wrong. That's
Oh yeah, in the GRE, usually 2 questions are right, but one's more correct than the other.
That's how they get you.
So get used to it.
All
Actually,
right,
for
so
the poor kids.
if a project lead, before coding openly or systematically, check in with who first? Who do you check in with before
Rudy, if you
deciding
get
whether?
this one
The
wrong.
boss.
Mr. Stark?
Megatron.
What were the options?
That's
Yeah,
how you get fired.
Megatron and the leads.
Okay. See, I should have just done them all like that. All right. Well, the answer should have been Dr. B. All right. Next one. I think this is the last one. Before coding, you should.
We're coding, you should.
Learn from YouTube.
Ooh, this one was
Learn information from.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know.
This is a hard one, Alex.
On this one, you can select multiple.
Ah,
It's a trick question.
Yes, Mother of Dragons.
Somebody got it right.
Who got it right?
Yeah.
Whoever got it.
One is more right.
What were the options on there?
I think talk to the project lead.
Okay.
Checking the folder.
familiarize yourself.
I see